Live from New York, it's Ask This Engineer.
Hey everybody, and welcome to yet another Ask Engineer. We're here at the Adafruit factory in downtown Manhattan. It's me, Lady Ada, the engineer. With me, Mr. Lady Ada. We're broadcasting to you from the zone. This is where we do all the design, engineer, manufacturing, testing, shipping.
Yeah.
The magic happens here. This is the factory of wonder
Yeah.
and amazings.
Manufacturing in the USA, in New York. Who would have thought?
It's possible. We do it right here.
Live on the internet, too.
But the machines are quiet now, so we can do this hour-long show, which we do every Wednesday. So what's on tonight's show?
I'm glad you asked that question, because we have a lot of things on the internet that we do.
So
First
much
up
internet.
is the code Rooster, celebrating Chinese New Year coming up, Year of the Rooster. So 10% off in the Adafruit store all the way up to 11:59 p.m. Eastern Time. Everything except for gift certificates and Adabot subscriptions. Show and tell, people around the world showing and sharing their projects. We'll go over their projects and more. Pack mailbags and stop by. We're going to read your letters to us. Time travel, look back in the world of hackers, makers, artists, and engineers, pioneers, and more. Made in New York City, some footage from our Adafruit factory here. We like to play a little bit each week. Nimbus, the friendly cloud entity, will delight you with the Internet of Things. Just some updates from our Adafruit I/O beta service. 3D printing, stuff from Noah and Pedro, some Raspberry Pi news, new products. We'll answer your questions. We'll have a trivia question, all that and more on, you guessed it, Ask an Engineer.
Oh, yeah.
That's right. Okay, well, let's start off with paying some bills. So, Rooster, just a code, 10% off. Please do it. Programming note, if you're watching this right now live, it's Wednesday, 8 p.m. It's Ask an Engineer. We just finished up Show and Tell, 7:30 Eastern Time. We do that every week. If you're in Manhattan and you check out before 11 a.m., you might see your zip code that's eligible for same-day delivery in New York City. Either way, if you're in the continental U.S., $200 more, we have UPS ground. We're celebrating, of course, as we said, Happy Chinese New Year, Year of the Rooster. You'll see that on our site and more, and that's why the code is Rooster. Okay.
It's a nice graphic.
Yeah. Lady Ada, Show and Tell. Every week, our favorite half an hour, people around the world showing and sharing things that are important to them, their projects. Who was on the show this week and what did they share?
We had a smorgasbord.
Smorgasbord. Is a smorgasbord like a cube of Borgs?
No,
of
board.
the smorgage?
Smorgasbord.
A Borg.
Board.
Locutus of smorgish? Anyways.
A whole bunch of people showed up to we really got right into it. Start off with Noah and Pedro from Adafruit Southeast. They built this beautiful LED bangle. We'll be talking about it, and they showed off some of the details. They also showed off a circuit playground case that they've designed, and we'll also show off some video about that. They are on a roll, like literally, it's rolling, it's round. Everything they're working on is round. So a lot of stuff going on with 3D Hangouts and 3D Wednesdays. Scott S. from he's actually going to be Adafruit Europe shortly.
Scott's doing a world tour.
Tour.
Circuit Python world tour.
He's going around the world, him and his band, and the roadies. No, he's just going to Europe for a couple weeks, and he'll be in Barcelona, and he'll be in Lyon, and he'll be in, I think, Paris. If you're in Europe and you're following the stuff he's doing and you want to hang out, email.
He said email. Scott with two T's. Scott at adafruit.com. And he's also going to figure out if there's a hackerspace or makerspace or an event or something. And if you want to see some of the CircuitPython hardware, he'll have some unreleased prototype hardware with him.
Yep.
Okay.
That will be really cool.
And I'll talk about the hack chat that's coming up Friday.
Yeah, hack chat.
But
we'll talk about that soon.
But he's going to Europe.
Chris Young talked about his history of making Christmas cards. So every year he does Christmas cards and they're 3D rendered because he's written 3D rendering software. And last year's there were these angels, or maybe that was this year. They had the 3D printed angels, and he actually 3D printed the figurine. And they talked about, just a warning to people, he used an image in a previous Christmas card. And the person, he found it through Google Images, and the person who had that image actually contacted him and threatened to take him to court. And it ended up after a year to get resolved because it was a fair use of the image. But, just something to watch out for. Be careful when you're using images. You can go to archive.org, and they have a public domain image search if you really need public domain images for your projects. Scott J. had there's a lot of... Scott Jackson had the
Yeah,
the blue head.
The blue fox.
Yeah, I know there were a lot of robotics projects.
Yeah.
I'm just keeping track. He had a blue fox head that he made, and he's adding haptic touch to it. So when you pet the head, the nose will buzz. So that's really, really cute. And he also made a name tag, and then there's a lot of Scots. And then Jim is also a robotics fan, and he made a cool robotic head, and it's like a Halloween song, and it sings and it dances, and it's really neat. It has like 8 servos, and the eyes move and the mouth moves. It's really cool.
3D printed. It's like a puppet.
Animatronic. Cool. Yeah, very neat. And then Zach, who I guess is friends with Scott because he talked about Scott's project, had a fur box, which is a useless box. It's a box that when you flip a switch, usually it's a hand comes out and turns it off. This time it's a cat paw. Very cute, and he had some hacks and modifications to it, so it like peaks, and he's gonna add a kitten head. Speaking of kittens, see how many kittens and like furry animals were on this chat? Mia and Caddy. Mia has 2 cats. Caddy, and I think JD was the name of the other one.
It wasn't a fox, it was a cat head, sorry.
It looks, sorry.
It was a cat.
Sorry, it's a cat head.
Multiple cats everywhere.
There's a lot of cats.
Cat night.
Yeah. Well, they have cute ears.
Yeah.
Animals with cute ears.
Because you use the motor and it purrs. Because I don't think foxes purr.
That's true. I don't know. I've never had a blue fox.
Yeah.
You've had foxes.
Well, they weren't purring.
Yeah.
They were just friends.
They're just friends.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, so Mia has 2 cats. They were hanging out, and she has like cat drawings, and she has a water sensor that she built with her snap circuits. So good work, Mia. You can start making cyber cats soon. Lon just gave us some photo updates of his Dreadblade. It looks like a World of Warcraft type weapon, and it has like neopixels, and it's kind of neat because it looks like it's like floating.
Animatronic ears.
Yeah, and he had a circuit playground with 2 animatronic cat ears. I'm telling you, there was a theme tonight.
Yeah.
And he made it for his niece as a stealth gift, and so the accelerometer, it's actually a good idea. The accelerometer detects your motion, and so when you lean forward, the cat ears perk up. And then when you like shake your head, like they swing back and forth. So he used 2 servos, and he used like the bolt technique to connect to the pads on the circuit playground. And finished up. Oh, he also had some toy ray guns that he's been working on, just showing off designs for that. And then finished off with C. Scott, who also made a circuit playground case. He's designing like a hexagon tile game system, and he wants the tiles to be smart. So he's thinking maybe prototyping them with circuit playgrounds. And then he also had a little bit of a discussion about EagleCAD.
Yeah, he talked about Eagle moving to a subscription model.
Talked about why he likes EagleCAD versus KiCad in some situations.
He did a blog post on our site, and he made some suggestions for Autodesk to consider if they want to have something for makers, like a perpetual license for the hobbyist, and then some of the things for corporations who want like a software as a service. And then C. Scott encouraged everyone to get involved with their local national politics. Probably a good idea, no matter what year, no matter what's going on.
Yeah, and he said he's conservative, but he's still like, you gotta be involved in what's going on, make your voice heard.
Everyone have a voice.
Yeah, okay. It's Wednesday.
It is a Wednesday, everyone. All participants in the show and tell get an S-Scene on the show and tell sticker. Email support@adafruit.com, and we'll send you out an S-Scene on the show and tell sticker. Show and Tell is part of our Adafruit Live series. We've been on a roll with Desk of Lady Ada. I think we've done one almost every single night except for when we're doing the show. So what I wanted to do is show just a couple scenes from the Desk of Lady Ada. We are using backgrounds and all sorts of ways to show more. So Lady Ada will use a whiteboard and show formulas. We have footage from the factory. We have live coding, and basically
cats.
We have cats and green screens, but do check it out because we're trying to push the boundaries of what's possible with showing and sharing electronics live. So we'll have a special show. I'll talk about that in a bit. But anyways, it'll be cool. Okay, this is Tony D. Tony did a show on Friday, and it was all about the drivers for, I want to make sure I get this right. It is bus drivers and registers with Tony D with CircuitPython.
Yep, it's how to write your own drivers.
Yeah,
basically.
so if you're one of the folks that want to write drivers and you're considering CircuitPython because you want it to work with certain types of hardware, this is the first place to start.
And it's a really neat way. I mean, watch the video, but it's really neat because the way that Tony and Scott have decided that to make it possible for people to write drivers is that when you talk to like an I2C device, you're usually setting and getting I2C registers like through the SM bus protocol, and that's actually sort of like in a way natively defined now by the way by our driver manager, where you actually set and get the registers over I2C as like an assignment. Ooh.
Yeah.
Data and computing combined.
Yep. Okay. And this is all part of our new CircuitPython series of videos and more that we're doing. On Friday at noon Pacific time or 3 p.m. Eastern time, you'll see us on Hackaday IO, and we're going to be doing a hack chat. A million years ago, I started a site called Hackaday. I don't have anything to do with it anymore. The logo is still the same, and there's other people there, but they've continued to expand it. And one of the cool things about it is the hack chat. So Tony, Scott, and you will be there. We'll also be broadcasting live. And in addition to that, I know you're saying, but wait, I want even more. MicroPython, CircuitPython. I want more Python
More.
stuff.
Snakes.
So
Snakes and cats.
We just added on Adafruit Daily, you can get a daily email that has either electronic tips, or it can be 3D printing tips or wearables or maker business. And then we do a weekly MicroPython. It's news all about different things going on in the world of Python, MicroPython, CircuitPython.
What is the news lately, by the way,
Well,
with MicroPython?
we did a overview of some of the talks that Damien did, the founder of MicroPython, and then some of the big news that I think's new is PyCom, and we stock some of their stuff, and you'll see some more of their stuff in our store. They're going to use the ESP32 port that's MIT licensed for ESP32 and collaborate with Damien, which is kind of a big deal for all of us. Because
it's good news for everybody.
It's good news for everyone. So if you follow these things closely, which we kind of do, depending on the type of license something is under, so we like MIT license.
We do.
Because anyone can kind of do anything with it. You don't have to sign anything or do anything. Sometimes projects get relicensed and you may have to agree to something.
Yeah.
And there was parts of MicroPython that went into PyCom's other products, and you have to agree to a different type of license that makes you sign something. ESP32 is coming along, and we all kind of thought it would be nice if we all could combine forces with...
Yeah, because like Damien was working on the code, and he's like, well, my code is MIT licensed because I want it to be freely given away.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, PyCom was like, well, we don't want it to be basically freely given away.
Yeah.
And then everyone's like, well, we're just going to reduplicate it. This is silly. So
yeah,
let's...
and like forks are okay. This is a little different when there's relicensing. So anyways, this is big news. And
But then it's working out. They came up with a good decision together.
This is a big deal. So
best of both worlds.
Yeah, so follow it if you this is neat because it's kind of the very beginning stages of Python on microcontrollers. So if you like insider baseball-y type things, subscribe to the newsletter on
I'm glad this got resolved. Good for everybody.
Yeah, this is cool. Thank you, Fred and team at PyCom. Okay, mailbag. This is where we read your emails. We have a weekly meeting called State of the Fruit, where we read these. We also read these here. And this is from Mark. I've only been into this stuff for a month when a gardening friend showed me a temperature sensor, and he made that he sent 4 temps to the then via an electric imp. That got me hooked, and I've ordered quite a few sensors from you guys, and putting together a garden automation thing has been great fun. I just want to say I really enjoy your company. I watch a few of the Ask an Engineer videos and other shows on YouTube, and really the involvement of the high end of your company. You make some cool stuff and show it off well, just like the overall vibe of Adafruit. I hope to make many more purchases, and I browse your store way too much. Mark. Thanks, Mark.
Thanks, Mark.
Okay, time travel. Look in the world of hackers, makers, artists, engineers. This one's kind of fun. This one's neat. So on our site we have time travel, and occasionally there's people that I know. So this is Linda from lynda.com. And I know Linda back in the day from when I used to write software that would run on mobile devices, but it used Macromedia Flash and Java. And she ran a conference called Flash Forward. And I debuted one of my books there. I used all sorts of data-driven graphic applications, and that was like in the very beginning when like Flash came out. But anyways, she's best known for lynda.com, which was sold to LinkedIn for like 1.6
Oh, really? I didn't know
billion.
they sold it.
Yeah.
That's
so
cool.
Congratulations. Happy birthday, Linda.
It's a great place to learn
and
stuff.
yeah, everyone uses lynda.com.
Yeah.
But if you look around, there was a conference called Flash Forward, and it was neat because it was when the internet started to become an art form in addition to just code. So lots of interesting speakers. Hugo Pop was one. Hillman Curtis, he passed away. But these are like kind of when it became clear that it was an art form in addition to just text.
Yeah.
Anyways. And then also, happy birthday, 1984.
Oh, yeah. Mac Plus.
The Mac personal computer went on sale in the US.
Yeah.
So January 22nd, 1984.
The Mac 128K. What a great computer.
You have one of those, Lady Ada?
I don't have a 128K anymore, but I used to.
You did?
Yeah. Res Edit. Man, if I could get a tattoo, I would get a Res Edit tattoo.
Yeah.
Totally.
I spent a lot of time on Res Edit.
Totally.
Okay. All right, next up, some open source hardware news. We're up to 1,152 tutorials, Lady Ada.
Wow, we had a lot this week, too.
What tutorials?
Okay.
Around the learning guides.
Okay, we actually, we got a couple new ones. Okay, so from last week, we had the Halo Energy Sword upgrade from Mattel. So that's a toy from Mattel that was upgraded by Noah and Pedro to add NeoPixels. That was late last week. And then we also had the part 3 of the Overwatch prop gun. That's the final build of this project by John Park. It's a beautiful, beautiful build. He gave away all the files. If you want to build your own, you can totally do it. And then underneath my head is the Circuit Playground Simple Simon. This was on the show and tell last week, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that was Carter showed that off on the show and tell last week, where he talked about how he actually went to a website where like a couple people like reverse engineered the original Simon game from like the 80s and like actually like figured all the timing and like the tones exactly. And so he did like a otaku emulation of the Simple Simon game for Circuit Playground. So it works as a Simple Simon game, but most importantly, it has the same tones and timing and everything as the original Simon game, which is sweet.
Yeah.
He also did another tutorial, which I think was interesting. It's called Circuit Playground Beep Beep. And this is, I've never watched this one, but this is Captain Pike. He's a captain from Next Generation. Maybe you know about him. You're a Next Generation fan. But he has, I guess, a device that he uses to say yes and no. So this is a demonstration project, and it's inspired by Captain Pike, but what it's really about is how you can take code that you've written and refactor it, how to make it more extensible, easier to support, better documented. And it's kind of an interesting tutorial because it doesn't tell you how to use electronics. It just kind of shows you, now that you've got your project working, how can you make it so it's easier for you to adapt and other people to adapt. And that's an important thing about code, is reusability. And it shows how to make cleaner code and more elegant code. So check that out. Kirby made a project using his AdaBox as a temperature alarm. So he uses all the parts of the AdaBox One: temperature sensor, LCD, beeper, and the feather. And then this week's 3D print project from Noah and Pedro, the NeoPixel bracelet, we'll show the video of.
Okay.
So lots of great tutorials this week.
We got a lot of stuff going on. Mm-hmm. So we'll probably be hitting close to 2,000 pretty soon.
Yeah, okay. Too.
Speaking of numbers, we're up to 700 repos. Tony D pointed that out. So 700 public.
Easily.
Public.
And probably another 50 or 100
open source repos.
Private, yeah.
So I don't know. Folks are always looking for ways to, how do you decide where to buy stuff from? Who do you support? What type of companies do you want to see out there? See how many open source repositories I have, if you care about that stuff, and then suggest it to the companies too. Anyways, one way to see.
Yep, PCB files,
Okay.
GitHub's Arduino code, everything.
Yep.
700 easily.
Next up, this is just a reminder. We're talking to the folks at Hackster, and they remind me. So right now, if you sign up for Hackster.io, they do a daily giveaway for a Hackster branded feather. So, anyways, that's going on. I wanted to get that out there.
Yeah.
And then last up, you were in Startup Nation. It was an article about how you run Adafruit. You run Adafruit, and what's funny is we're not considered a startup.
We're not
really.
a startup, actually.
Yeah,
we don't take funding.
Yeah, we're weird. So, we're not exciting because we don't have billions in funding and going public. We ship electronics that we make here. So, anyways, it was neat to see some Startup Nation love. So y'all can check it out. It's on our site.
Well, I think we have the fun and flexibility of a startup with the stability of, a bootstrap company.
Yeah.
Been around for 12 years now.
Okay. Speaking of manufacturing. Here is just some scenes around the Adafruit factory. This is some 3D printing. This is a tester jig for the circuit playgrounds.
Yeah, because we got them individual, not panelized.
Yeah.
And we get 40 PCBs, and so I was like, man, I really don't want to have to hand solder all of these, and so I asked the fab team, is like, hey, how can we get the pick and place to pick and place 40 of these? And like, oh, maybe we'll 3D print a jig to hold all of them, and then we'll program it as if it was panelized.
And then this is just some of the solder paste that goes on the metal stencil for our robot friend that squishes this on with a squeegee, and then it pushes it through onto the circuit board. And then this one, Lady Ada, you can narrate a little bit. It's about 50 seconds, but maybe talk about what's going on here.
Oh, here I think that they're looking at, again, this is the one-offs, and normally I have a panel, so we get one big stencil, but in this case, because it was individual prototypes, not panelized, I actually got a small stencil. You can see it's like 3 inches by 3 inches from Osh Stencils, which was really great. It was only $20. Showed up like 2 days later. It was a really great quality stainless steel stencil for like only a couple dollars. And then we made a plastic jig to hold the circuit playground in place. And then we made a little rim for the stencil. And then here are those 8 circuit playgrounds in that holder. And then we take them out of the holder so it doesn't melt, and then put them into the oven. And here they are coming out.
Yeah.
And all 40 of them came out perfectly. We had 100% yield, which was really nice.
And this is them going from machine to machine. And then here is one of the Samsung 42s placing the parts. Max capability, 30, 40,000 parts per hour.
Normally we hand make all of the prototypes, and if it was like 5 boards, I probably would have handmade them, but when it's 40, it was way faster to program the pick and place, because you can load in from the EagleCAD, you can load in the file, and it will, it takes a little while, but way less time than hand soldering 40 boards.
And, here's other views of the chips getting picked up and placed on boards. So that's just a little bit of the manufacturing that we do here at Adafruit.
Made in NYC.
Yeah. Okay. Nimbus, a friendly cloud entity. Exciting week this week. We had Adam, one of the engineers who works on Adafruit I/O. He stopped by. We talked about some of the things that we're doing for I/O. We're still in beta. If you like Internet of Things and you like to know how the feeds are used, and you like making your own devices and understanding all this, this is the service for you. It's still free. We're working on our pro model. Don't worry, it'll come. There was a neat post on Reddit that was a guide for using Adafruit I/O with Raspberry Pi and if then this that. So we put that on our Adafruit I/O blog. So if you are using a Raspberry Pi and you want to use all those triggers with if then this that, and you want to use Adafruit I/O, pretty concise tutorial.
Yeah.
So we have that on the blog. Okay.
Handy.
And don't forget, if you want to participate in the Internet of Things Bill of Rights, this is what we're sticking to. You can look at some of the goals that we have to make the Internet of Things work for you. It's on GitHub too if you have some suggestions or ready to hear them. Next up, 3D printing. Noah and Pedro got a lot of stuff printing this week, and you saw, I think, this on the show and tell briefly. You have your little bracelet.
Yeah, I'll show it on the overhead after we're done.
Here's Noah and Pedro. LED bracelet video.
Blinky.
Here we go.
In this week's project, I'm going to show you how to make an awesome LED bracelet. This is a great project for anyone getting started with electronics and 3D printing. The enclosure is 3D printed in material that diffuses the LEDs and holds all of the electronics. It uses NeoPixel LEDs, which can be programmed to display just about any color and all sorts of amazing animations. I used these parts to build the project. You can get the full list of components linked below. You'll need to 3D print the enclosure using a translucent material so the LEDs can shine through. The parts were designed to fit all of the components, and the files are free to download and modify. If you don't have access to a 3D printer, you could try using a service to 3D print them for you. We'll also need the following supplies to help build this project. First, we'll need to measure the NeoPixel strip and cut them down to size so they can be fitted into the enclosure. NeoPixel strips are designed to be cut so we can create custom size strips. Then we'll cut pieces of wire to connect each of the LED strips together. We'll connect the NeoPixel strips together using the pieces of wire. Each wire will connect to the 3 pads on the end of each strip. Each strip connects from data in to data out, following the direction of the arrow labeled on the Flex PCB. We'll create a 4x5 LED matrix which has a total of 20 NeoPixel LEDs. Next, we'll measure another set of wires to connect the LED strips to the Adafruit trinket. We'll need to solder each wire to the 3 pads on the pixel with the first data in connection. The wires are threaded through a cutout in the enclosure and pulled all the way so the strips can be fitted inside. Wedge all of the strips into the enclosure and position them so the pixels in each strip line up with each other. Then, place the cover over the top and press to snap on the cover. Insert the wiring through the second half of the bracelet and fit the 2 pieces together. We'll use a piece of metal core wire from a paperclip and cut it down to size to form a pin for the hinge. The hinge will allow the 2 halves to easily open and close. Next, we'll build a slide switch adapter for the battery. The 2 wires from this JST plug will connect to the switch so we can power the circuit on and off. Strip and tin the 2 wires and solder them to the leads on the slide switch. We'll connect the ground pad on the back of the trinket to the black wire and the positive pad to the red wire. Then we can connect the 3 wires from the NeoPixels to the Adafruit trinket. We can now fit all the components into the enclosure. Then secure the trinket and switch to the cutouts. This gives us access to the USB port on the trinket for reprogramming. The slide switch is also easy to get to. Finally, we can install the battery and connect it to the JST connector on the trinket. The excess wire can neatly be fitted inside the enclosure. With all the components installed, we can now fit the cover on top. These neodymium magnets are perfect for this project because they're small and really strong. They're diametrically magnetized so we can install them upright. We can use a Sharpie to mark the polarities so we can reference them while installing them into the enclosure. The magnets snap into the cavities on the edge of the 2 halves. The 2 halves snap together nicely and produce a satisfying click. Connect a USB cable to upload the demo sketch, which you can find in the learning tutorial linked below. And now we can wear it over our wrist and flip the switch to try it on. The NeoPixel LEDs are super bright and they can be controlled via the set brightness function. This was a fun project to build and the circuit can be modified to make all sorts of wearables. Hey, if you like this project idea, be sure to let us know by giving it a thumbs up. And for more projects, be sure to check out our playlist linked in the cards. Thank you guys so much for watching and subscribe for weekly projects from Adafruit.
Yay, that was a good video.
Do you want to show it on the overhead? I have
Yeah,
one here.
let's show it on the overhead too.
Yeah, because it's really neat because the code and the schematic is pretty simple, but what's really cool about this is just how skinny they got this to be. I mean, it's 3D printed, but it's not nearly as chunky as you would think it would have to be for a 3D print. And yeah, these magnets are really neat. There's these 2 magnets on each side, and it's just strong enough to be, it clicks, but it's not impossible to open. And then, yeah, the battery is tucked inside of here, and it's just wide enough that it fits in without bending the battery. And then you got the trinket and the power switch over here, and then the LEDs, and they're even still in the protective plastic coating, so it's kind of nice. They fit in and they squeeze right between the 2 walls. So interesting. It's like, the quality of 3D printing is getting really good. This is almost as good as injection molding now.
Yeah, good work.
Nice diffusion too.
Okay, and then next up, they did a fidget spinner on the other mill. So let's play that.
More fidgets.
Okay.
You know that's got to smell so good
Yeah.
while it's milling. Oh, it's just like a beautiful
Okay.
pine scent.
And then congratulations, Pedro, 3D printing team at Adafruit. They got an award.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So
Sweet.
there's also a video. So let's watch. Okay, and don't forget, on Thursdays, there's not 3D Hangouts anymore. It's on Wednesdays, and they just did one, and it just got posted.
What
So
I like
it's-
about the pin shape, I guess they really do just send you the STL file, and they're like, "Well, you want an award? You print it." I mean,
Want
if
an
you
award
want
for
it-
3D printing? Print out your own.
Print your award.
Print out your own darn award.
Yeah,
Saves the postage.
yeah.
Okay.
any
So
color you like.
we also have some Raspberry Pi news. This is new. This just came out today. They came out with a magazine, 100 pages, downloadable for free for educators, called Hello World.
They're neat.
Yeah. So if you go to helloworld.cc, it's from the Raspberry Pi Foundation, and it's specifically a magazine for educators. So if you're looking for resources and more, that's it. And download it. Creative Commons.
It's a monthly magazine or a one-time thing?
I don't know how often it's going to come out, but I do
didn't
know
see
that there
this.
is one right
Right
now.
now, they're right
yeah,
now, okay.
and I think it's Hello CC on Twitter, but make sure that you make that's correct before you go there, because you
Okay,
never know.
cool.
But anyways, that's neat. So congrats to the team on that, and that's a very helpful, useful thing. So a lot of educators, like the consumer side of Raspberry Pi and the hobbyists, I think got it. Now the educators are probably figuring out lesson plans and what can they do if they're
What
an
is this?
educator
Yeah.
and they want to deliver it to classrooms. So free resource, Creative Commons, good thing. Okay, before we get into the new products, Lady Ada, we should talk about the discount code.
What is it?
Rooster,
Why is it Rooster?
because Happy Chinese New Year.
That's right.
Okay, let's do this. You ready?
Okay. New.
All right, new products this week.
We got them.
What you got?
Start off with some, ooh, these are real exciting AA batteries. Well, you know, we need
Yay.
AA batteries. We had these in the Adabox kit because it was a robot and you would power it off with AA batteries. And we're like, you know what, we should actually have these in the shop. There's 4 AA batteries, a couple bucks. They're actually really good batteries. They're about like 3,500 milliamp hours, 3,000 milliamp hour. They work really well. We use them in the robot. No complaints.
Okay.
So they're pretty good. You get the same quality as you would from the drugstore, but like, a third the price.
Okay. Next up, this goes hand in hand with an article that we did and also some of our efforts here at Adafruit. So we have a privacy badger patch. So it's a neat way to tell how sites are watching what you're doing online. And not all sites respect do not track. Adafruit does, and we made a specific point. We have that on our privacy policy, and we also did a specific article about that. So it's one of those things where if you maybe teach someone how to protect themselves online and you install tools like Privacy Badger, you could, use a...
Oh.
Which one? We got multiple overheads.
I know,
tonight.
so many overheads.
We got this one.
So this is the
Look at the other overhead.
this
And we
one.
got this one.
This one is really nice.
Yeah, look
So this
at
is good
that.
for flat things.
Yeah.
So this is the Privacy Badger. So it's a nice embroidered badge, and it's got a nice outline as well. And then it's iron-on, or you can sew it on, whichever you want. But it's like a really cute little badger.
Yeah.
The software's free if you want to show your
And,
pride.
if you're a seasoned internet Linuxy privacy person, you're like, get off my lawn, kids. This isn't for you. Although it is a nice badge. It is for encouraging people, especially young people, to figure out what their rights are online, how they can protect their identities online, how they can understand ads and cookies and
Tracking.
and all
What does
that.
that mean?
And if we just constantly assume that it's all okay and we never look into it, and we don't learn how to use these tools, it'll probably not be such an exciting internet. So,
Stuff
anyways,
happens on your computer. Shouldn't you know what it is?
yeah. So, award a kid.
We love them, and then, yeah.
Yeah, I like to imagine a future where the Girl Scouts, Boy Scouts, and all these scouting organizations are teaching modern
should
skills
totally
like
give
internet
you-
privacy. And
Internet privacy is a skill, is an important skill.
yeah. Okay. Next up on the list today is a Total Inventors Manual. This is from our friend John Michael Reagan, and I worked with him at Make, and then he went on to do a bunch of other stuff. And there was a series of interviews. You're in there.
Yeah.
And it's for, I'd say, the maker out there who's thinking of going to manufacturing.
The maker to be.
Or, thinking going to, like, maker to market.
Yeah.
So,
I can flip through some of the pages.
yeah, why don't you flip through some
It's
of
a
the
really
pages.
beautiful book. It's got this really lovely silvery front, and it's got color pages, and it kind of covers everything. But it's like fun to read. Like it's not like there's books that cover this stuff, but they have like techniques, like for example, using cardboard and like vinyl cutters to prototype instead of like getting 3D printing, or like all these different skills and materials you can use, and it's kind of like fun. And also there's these little interviews to the inventor of the digital camera, and like he has his prototype, and you can tell like this is like the first digital camera, and then assembly and manufacturing. So it's all the stuff that you would normally learn just by doing. So like how do you do a spatula made out of silicone? Well, you have a fiberglass core, and then the outside is silicone. So that's how I guess they got it working, or how to solder and how to do electronics. So it's a little bit of everything. So it's kind of for the inventor to be.
Yeah.
And Sean McRagan is great. He's like so smart, and he's blogged for Make for like 10 years or something.
Yeah.
So he really knows this stuff. And I'm in here somewhere.
Yeah.
And there's
You
Arduino.
had an interview.
I don't know
Okay.
where I am. But Kickstarters and suggestions, and it's bite-sized, but it covers a lot.
Yep.
So really smart guy. So
And
we carry his
from
book.
Popular Science. I was a senior editor at Popular Science in my former life. Okay.
What a lovely book.
Yep. All right. Next up, Ultimaker. We got a new version.
Yeah,
in
this
store.
Inventor 3, this one has a dual extruder, which is kind of neat. A couple upgrades. Check the product page for the
Yeah.
details. But the cool thing is you can use water-soluble material now, and so you can create things that normally would have support material you have to break away, but in this case you can make it dissolve
Yeah.
away through water or other solvent-soluble.
We don't carry many 3D printers. We've whittled
Yeah.
it down to just a couple that we think
Yeah.
are really good. A long time ago, we had MakerBots. The quality and the supply of MakerBots changed dramatically.
At the time, it was when we first
Yeah.
started, it was actually the best.
So
in the
one of the
market.
things that we've always decided is we're not stuck with any specific 3D printer company. So if it's in the Adafruit store, at the time right now, it's the best that's out there.
Yeah.
So right now, for this type of printing, we like the Ultimaker.
They're really good.
And we'll see what happens. 3D printing landscape's kind of weird. If you asked me 4 or 5 years ago, would Ultimaker be one of the leading ones? At the time, MakerBot was kind of the only game in town for the maker out there, the prosumer.
Yeah.
And just recently, last week, the latest CEO at MakerBot is out, Jonathan. New one's in, and at Stratasys they have a new CFO. So lots of shakeups in that industry.
I know,
I
it's
covered it for a
crazy.
long time on Maker Business and all that. And anyways, it went 3 different CEOs, and they're still struggling to get their footing back in the 3D printer market, and moved manufacturing overseas. So we'll see how MakerBot does long term. Ultimaker is currently the one that we really like. We also like Lulzbot.
The Lulzbot's really good. Tazbot, which I think is the same thing, is good. Some of the simple
Yeah.
metals are good. And people are playing around with getting
Yeah.
low-cost ones and then upgrading the electronics. So it's still, there's like the new Prusa. There's still printers, but like I think we're finally through the everyone's coming out with a $300 printer on Kickstarter phase. I think
that's over.
I think that's over. I
Yeah.
think we've kind of settled, and to design a new printer from scratch now, it would take so long for you to catch up.
Yeah.
That
There's also a lot of service bureaus that you can use to, you send your files and they print them for you. So anyways,
Formlabs is good. We don't carry the Formlabs because they won't sell to us, and then
Yeah.
the Autodesk one's good. So there's a couple of different options right now.
Okay.
But this one's a good for dual extrusion.
So-
This is great.
Yeah, I feel like every year you should look at this time at Ask an Engineer the years before, because we're just like, We asked Noah and Pedro, which is the best one?
We're just going with the tide
We're
here.
like, which is the best one that you use all the time that you really like? So.
And by the way, sometimes like, the company's really good, but one of their printers just won't be good. We'll skip it because it just didn't work out as well.
Okay. Next up, headers. We have headers.
Stacking headers.
Stacking headers.
We have now generic stacking headers. So stacking headers, you know and love them because they let you stack. And I have a little demo I'll show.
You have a demo?
Yeah, I can show that now if you want.
Yeah, sure.
So for example, I'm just showing it with the feather just because it's like what I had on my desk. So, normally you have like a board and it might plug into another board. And in this case, I soldered this one with stacking headers. And this is another one that I had with same board basically with stacking headers. And what's nice about stacking headers is it means you can plug multiple boards into each other and they stack, like literally mechanically they stack on top of each other. And as long as you get the electrical pins to coincide, you can basically stack forever. So these are the stacking headers. They're basically the best of both worlds. You get your long pin like plug male headers and you get your socket female headers, but this time you get them in one. You have to solder them in, but they do work well. And just be a little bit careful. These are thin. They do bend a little easily, but this is kind of the deal. Like they only come this thin because if they were any thicker, it would be really hard to remove them because they're they stick so well inside of the sockets. But we have Arduino pack and we have like a feather header pack, so you get one of these. But what if you have your own board? Well, now we have a generic 36 pin stacking header, and so you can use this with any board. And actually, just give me one moment. I'll grab something.
And there she goes.
I'll be right back.
It's the last time I saw her.
No, come back.
That's what they call
I
it.
just realized I should probably show how to cut these.
Gotta get a new host.
Hey, I'm back.
Oh.
So yeah, I'm back with my tools. So for example, you get it in 36 pins, but let's say you need a shorter number of pins. Maybe you're like, okay, I need a 5-pin connector. You count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then after the pin, you pull it out like that,
Yeah.
like a tooth. You just yank it out with your pliers, and then you can go in with your diagonal cutters, and then you cut it, and it cuts very easily. And then that's it. So now it's not breakaway.
Okay.
It's pull and snip, but it's basically now you've got, your custom length, and so you can clean this up if you want, just get rid of the schmutz left over.
Okay.
And then you can keep cutting it down to make any size stacking headers you like. So we can just carry 1 by 36 because it's long enough. Chances are there's nothing that you need that's longer. It's long enough for like a breadboard and stuff. And make your own stacking headers. You get a set of 5, very handy for when you want to stack things, prototyping. Because these are long lead time items, so there's a way around it.
Lead time items.
Yeah, because they take 6 to 8 weeks to get. So this is a way to get them faster.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, next up. I guess this is kind of the star of the show besides you tonight. This is a little RTC. Pi RTC. Real-time clock for Raspberry Pi.
It's small, but it's
I remember when you were working on this on an episode of Desk of Lady Ada.
like 3 days ago. I was just finishing the tester and everything. This is a little board that it's just a common thing. People buy our breakout RTCs for the Raspberry Pi, and I thought, well, I can make a little plug that just makes it super easy to add a real-time clock. There's a little coin battery, and it works quite well and very easy to install. We have a tutorial even and a script for installing. It looks like it's in the way of this cable, but actually it isn't. The way I designed it, there's like a cutout, so this cable isn't in the way. So you can use it with your Pi. It works with any Raspberry Pi. In fact, it even works with the older Pi 1s because it only connects to the first 6 pins. And then you have the rest of the pins available if you want to connect to them or not. Just basically makes it nice and small. Real-time clock, crystal, and battery backup. So you just plug it in, and then you run the little script to install the hardware clock support, and that's it. You're done. It basically runs on any Linux computer. It'll probably run on Raspberry Pi clones as well because it's just using the 3-volt and I2C connection. But it's just a very easy way to add real-time clock if you're doing something where it's not connected to the internet, so it can't get time.
Yeah.
Or an alarm or just something that's standalone, but you want it to keep track of time and date. This is a very easy, low-cost, simple way to do it. It comes fully assembled too, so you just plug and play. We fully pick and place the whole thing, so you get it just like this, and you just plug it in. Very, very easy to use.
Okay.
As easy as it gets.
All right. And with that, Lady Ada,
Easy Star.
that was new products.
New.
Okay.
New out.
That's right. So before we move on, don't forget the code is Rooster. 10% off in the Adafruit store all the way up to 11:59 p.m. Eastern Time tonight. I've got some big news that I want to let folks know. Tomorrow at 9 p.m. Eastern Time, we will have a 2-hour interview with Bunny. For those of you who know Bunny's work, from the Chumby to the open source laptop to pretty
Suing
much
the government.
to pretty much anything that involves code and causes and open source and hardware. He's also known for hacking the Xbox. He's known for the NETV. He's doing a lot of things that are not only technically interesting, but they're socially and politically interesting as far as how you can use technology, because sometimes things are okay, but then sometimes they're not. There's a signal that's encoded or encrypted or protected. Sometimes there's an exception to use it, sometimes there isn't.
Dude, he is a walking, talking test case.
So this is neat. And then he also shows some of the paper circuits that he and G are working on.
Unreleased hardware?
Yeah, so it'll be neat tomorrow night.
Unreleased hardware that he's been working on with Ed.
Yeah, tomorrow night, 9 p.m. So anyways, I think it's going to be one of the more interesting interviews that folks get a chance to see, because I think he was here a few years ago and we didn't have the ability to do like a long interview. I think he was briefly on like an Ask an Engineer or something, but this time we had time. So anyways, check that out. Okay. Post your questions up in the chat.
Time for me to answer your questions.
Yeah, we're going to get through these pretty quick. Okay. How much was the little clock, the RTC that you showed?
It's like $5, I think. Check the store for the exact link. Maybe it's like $6.
Okay. What version of Eagle Cat are you currently using, Lady Ada?
I'm using like 6.3 or 6.4. I'm like,
6.3 or 6.4. Okay.
I should probably upgrade to the latest minor revision. I have not decided whether I want to upgrade to 8 yet. I am not sure. I might decide to learn KiCad instead.
Okay.
It's a good excuse and a good opportunity, right?
Why did those headers? Why do headers take so long? Why are there long lead times for those when you want them individually?
You know, it's just not a common item. It's not like normal headers where you can get them DigiKey and Mauser. Those headers, you usually get them from 4UConn or another connectors company. They just seem to take 4 to 6 weeks. They're not. Yeah. They could be custom made per order because they're just not as common.
Oh, someone wanted to know what my ring is. I can show that on the overhead.
Yeah.
I got this at Comic-Con. It spins. It's a dice ring, and you just.
Ooh, lucky 20, lucky 19.
Yeah.
Not so lucky 4.
So, that's it. That's what it does. That's my ring. Okay.
Nice ring.
Next up, can you recommend a beginning soldering project?
Yeah, a TV Begun or a Minty Booster is a really good beginner project, or a Mini Puff 4. Those are great beginner projects.
All right. Scott points out, 7.3 Eagle is what they're calling safe now in the Eagle community that likes perpetual.
I know, but I don't have an Eagle 7 license, so I don't know what to do.
Next up, how do you use the PCA 9685 board to do 12-volt PWM?
Well, it doesn't do 12 volts by default. It's a 3 to 5 volt device. So what you would do is you'd connect that to a transistor buffer, and then like it's a ULN 8003 or 8000 something, 2002, or UNL. I can't remember if it was ULN or UNL, 8000 something, and then that would take the PWM and then make it 12 volt.
Okay. Someone has a suggestion. It'd be neat if we can get all of our free daily newsletters into one newsletter instead of having to subscribe to each of them. We might add that as a feature. We have adafruitdaily.com, has nothing to do with the Adafruit store experience, no spam, we'll never spam you. And what we wanted to do is keep adding topics over time, but eventually, maybe we'll have that set up. We don't do any sales, we don't advertise to you. We wanted to even have a separate domain.
Yeah.
Everything separate. Next up, can you show how to use the LM386 module 20 times audio gain amplifier module for the Raspberry Pi Zero?
Not really, because I don't like the LM386s. I think they kind of suck. They're a pain to use. And for that price, you can get, a Class D amplifier that is way better power efficiency and better sounding, and has like audio control. So we have like a PAM 8302 breakout, it's Class D. It's like way smaller, better, lighter. It's like the same price. So I would just say go straight to the Class D. They've gotten so much better these days. There's no point in using an LM386.
Right.
These things are a pain in the ass.
ESP32 Feather. You gonna do one?
I have to, I want to check this weekend to see how the API is going. There's no hardware changes. My hardware's done, but I wanted to wait until their API settled. Like last I checked, you couldn't do analog digital reads, and that was kind of like, I didn't want to release it without analog reads support, but I might check again to see how that's going.
Okay, I can answer this one. Can we have more feeds in Adafruit.io? Yeah, that's one of the pro features we're going to be adding.
We're working on that.
That's absolutely, because there's a lot of people who just want to do like one little Internet of thing, and then there's people who want to go almost up to the point of it being like a commercial service, so we'll have a pro feature soon for that. Let's see. Are all the Adafruit electronic tips compiled in one place? Nope, right now they're just in the newsletter. We will do that. Next up, can I plug my, I plugged my Raspberry Pi GPU by mistake, and for some reason it's powering my Raspberry Pi, and I was wondering if you can power the Pi via HDMI.
You can't, but sometimes there'll be power leakage. Just power the Pi from the USB port the way it's supposed to. You can also power it through the 2x20 connector, but you should be careful. You have to make sure that you give it like 5 volts onto the right pin, because it's very easy to break it if you get the pins wrong. Next
up, what product can interface Feather to 5-volt logic?
If you want an output like from a NeoPixel to driver, like for example, driving NeoPixels, which requires 5 volts, you can use 74 AHCT logic. So we have a couple AHCT pins in the store, chips in the store. You can also, if it's not too fast, you can use, so we have some level shifters that will shift from 3 volt up to 5 volt. The only thing I can think of that people really use is NeoPixels, and honestly, I use NeoPixels at 3 volt logic and they work fine. So.
Okay. If someone wanted to run MicroPython, Arduino 0, Arduino M0 Pro, what's your suggestion?
You can. You absolutely can. You're not going to have an external storage file thing, but the Arduino 0, the Arduino 0 Pro, it doesn't matter. You're just using the BOSA bootloader to load that firmware in. I think Scott generated the Feather M0 firmware will basically run on the Arduino 0. Same thing.
All right. Did we already mention the show tomorrow night? Yes, we did.
Yeah.
But just a reminder, Bunny,
forget.
tomorrow night, 9 p.m. Eastern Time. Probably one of the longest, best interviews that...
He shows so much cool hardware.
Yeah, he rolled in with hardware. So.
It was like Demo Central.
We'll
was awesome.
Next up, when are the Trinket M0 and Circuit Playground Express boards coming out? We're working on them.
We're working on them.
Yeah.
You can watch Jessica Lady 8. I'm working on them all the time.
You can follow Scott around Europe. He has them.
We want to release them when they're good and ready, and we're there's a lot of we want to make it as good as possible. So we're delaying release until we feel like it's super super good. Couple months at least.
Yep. Okay. Well, that is all the questions you got to him. Good work, Lady Ada.
Yay!
Oh, here. There's one more that just came in.
Okay.
Is there going to be an IMU feather wing?
Maybe.
Okay. What's the difference between Trinket Pro, Trinket, and Trinket M0?
The Trinket M0 is going to be based off the SAMD processor, so it's going to be a lot faster and have more capability, and you'll have native USB, so it's kind of nice.
Okay. And with that, those are the questions. Thank you, everyone. Good stuff.
Right.
Next up, trivia.
Good work.
What do you want to give away tonight?
How about we give a copy of this Total Inventor's Manual?
Okay, we're going to give away a copy of this book. See this book? We're going to give away a copy of this. What's the rules, Lady Ada?
Rules are if you've won something before, you can't win again. Only one winner per my lifetime. The winner gets this book. The first person to answer the question that Mr. Lady Ada has in the chat wins the prize.
Yeah.
Don't call us on the phone and complain. We are doing the best we can to find the person who typed it in first. It doesn't always show up in the same order.
Yeah.
Right, so it's a question.
It's been fun. People are
I know,
chill.
but it's funny to say that.
Yeah.
Like, I won't say that anymore.
All right, you ready?
Thanks, everybody, for being cool.
Okay, besides the U.S. and the Soviet Union, this country launched its first lunar probe in 1990. That's the moon. What is the name of the probe? And bonus points if you know the country.
1980 lunar probe.
1990.
1990 lunar probe.
Lunar probe. And I can give you some hints. Well, it was Japan, so their first robotic lunar probe.
Robotic lunar probe.
Yeah. What is the name of the probe?
Probe
Yeah.
name.
It's not France. It's not China. It's not Amelia Earhart. It's not 1984. It's not Sputnik. That's funny though.
Nice
But
try.
I thought that was neat because if you like, which country got the first probe besides the U.S. and the Soviet Union? And then
Third.
what's the name? So Juno, nope. Voyager, nope. It is. Oh, here you go. The Amen. It's Hiten. Hiten. Hiten.
Hit 10?
Yeah, Hiten.
I don't know,
So
whatever.
the Aman. Congratulations, you won. I thought that was neat. So it was in our time travel section. 1990, Japan launches Hiten, the country's first lunar probe, the first robotic lunar probe since the Soviet Union's Luna 24 in 1976, and the first lunar probe launched by a country other than the Soviet Union or the United States.
All right. Congratulations.
And that was in our time travel section. You're hearing about
Lunars.
You're hearing about all sorts of countries in the news. It's also nice to talk about some of the achievements that all of us have done, either separately or together. Lunar probes are kind of cool.
Yay, the moon.
All right, so congratulations. Email support@adafruit.com. Tell them they need to send you product ID number 3385.
3385.
Yeah. Congrats.
Congratulations. Good work. Good lunarness.
Yeah. Okay. That's the show for tonight, everyone. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We'll see everybody tomorrow night at 9 p.m. for Bunny interview.
Yeah.
And thank you, everyone. Don't forget the codes Rooster. Your orders support all of us at Adafruit. This is what we do. This is where we are. Thank you, everyone. We're still an independent company that manufactures stuff in the United States here. We like doing this. So whatever you want to do to help support us, buying some electronics and saving $1 or $2 is always helpful. That's it. We'll see
Got a
everyone
code. Use the code.
Tomorrow night, and then we'll also see you at the Hack Chat
Friday.
maybe on Friday
It's nonstop.
at 3 p.m. Bunny tomorrow night at 9 p.m. And we'll see everyone next week. Show and tell.
Yep.
And Ask an Engineer. Here's your weekly cat photo.
Moment of cat.
And here is your moment of Zener.
Meow.
Yeah, and I'll play our little video tour on the way out. Bye bye.
Later.